everyone to the Outtakes podcast. I'm Sam and I'm back and I'm joined once again by Joe. Joe, how you doing, man?
Yeah, alright, yeah. Not too bad, not too bad.
Feels lonely, these two-man shows. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get our pals back soon. Anyway, let's dive straight into things. We've got lots to talk about. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the new Marvel movie, Black Widow. It's what, the 25th Marvel movie? I think
So, yeah.
25th, 26th. It's been, do you know what? It's wild to think that the last one was Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh my God,
No,
was
I
it
mean
really?
Far From
Oh my
Home.
God.
Yeah.
It was like December of like 2019 or something like that.
Yeah, right before everything ended. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Been a while. So
Yeah.
we'll kick off straight into the news. We'll get things going. So various different things. So let's start with, how about this? I just find this kind of funny, and it's exactly the kind of response I would have expected. Did you know that Quentin Tarantino has thoughts on the whole Snyder Cut thing?
Really? I actually didn't know that. I've not seen this.
So he's mostly commented on like the campaign, essentially, like the way it got made, and he used an operative word, which didn't surprise me. He just called it groovy.
Oh God. Okay.
I just thought that was kind of funny. Like if I had to place bets on the way he might have described that whole thing, that might have been the word I would have chosen. You know?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I'm kind of sad to hear that he's on board with it. I'm so hoping for you to be like, yeah, he hates the idea.
You'd
like
think actually,
but
yeah, because he's
no.
Tarantino's like a cinema traditionalist, and this was very, very left field. You know, it does seem like the kind of thing he'd have an issue with. But then, do you think he's hoping like somewhere in the pipeline, like fans might speak up for him one day, like? You know, he's looking at the landscape.
Probably, yeah. He's like, yeah, well, there's lots of people like this, so who knows, maybe one day get on the right side of these people. Might help sort me out. Maybe.
So also, in news, I mean, I hate to admit it, like, I really tried to diverse things up, but it is very Marvel heavy. Let's start with some stupid news, because it's my favorite type of news, which is where a ridiculous amount of sources cited that Hugh Jackman was teasing a return as Wolverine.
I saw that, yeah.
Did you read into the story? Do you know what that tease was?
It's a thing, isn't it? Isn't it like, I mean, I just saw like, didn't he post a picture of the Wolverine claws or something, then a picture of him and Kevin Feige or something? That's all. I didn't like look at the actual
what I
saw story or anything.
What I saw was he reposted some fan art on his Instagram of the Wolverine claws. That's all I saw.
Okay.
Which is really taking nothing and turning it into everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless maybe the Kevin Feige thing wasn't even related to it. Like, I didn't actually read it. I just saw that the two pictures were next to each other and assumed that that's what he posted, but if he literally just reposted some fan art of Wolverine, that's like, people need to chill out.
And big time.
Like,
big time.
You know.
Speaking of people chilling out, I'm trying desperately to link all these things. People are flying wild about Loki theories. As we sit here, the last episodes that are gonna air this week. But I thought instead of theories, instead of speculation, I'd talk about something. Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna park that. Because it's nice news. You know, in the news, they always end with like a nice little heartwarming. I'm going to park that for a second. Little tease there. So heartwarming about Loki. And instead, I'm going to ask you if you saw the What If trailer.
I did see that. Yes, I did.
What did you think of it?
You know what? Actually, I quite like the look of it. Yeah, looks pretty good. I think I'm excited for it. Like it looks like it's just going to be like a fun little, like some of them less like. Some of the concepts I'm more excited for than others. So, like, I mean, I can't remember all of them. The Guardians of the Galaxy one, but it's Black Panther instead of Star-Lord kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones I'm less... It looks more like it's just him in Guardians, you know what I mean? I mean, it probably won't be. There'll probably be more to that story, but from what they've shown us, it's like, there's just less of thingy. It's just the same as Guardians, and then Yeah, no, it looks like there's some. Yeah, it does. I like the art style and stuff. The Marvel Zombies one, I'm
Yeah.
kind of looking forward to because like I read all those back in the day. So, there was the one that's really weird. Actually, I don't know if you. I mean, there was a leak for like a Lego set ages
Yeah.
ago. Well, not that long ago, and it was like it was from What If. It was like from the What If. It's like a set based on the What If, and it was like Iron Man. If Iron Man was the one who went to thingy
Sakaar.
instead of Thor. Yeah, yeah, but that wasn't in the trailer or anything, so I don't know whether they're gonna like do like a thing where they release a certain amount of episodes at once and then kind of maybe do like a part 2 to the series or something with like a bunch of different episodes, or they're just keeping some of the episodes like under wraps and waiting for like it to release as like surprise, like this is what the thing
Well,
was like, because that wasn't even like in the trailer or anything, that one.
it's 10 episodes, and if you look at the trailer and you assume each one of those different things is only one episode, we maybe only saw clips from what, 4, maybe 5 episodes in the trailer. Like, I think they've got a lot of secrets in the can. I think it looks like a lot of fun. It's canon. We'll wait to see what that actually means, like when the show actually debuts.
Yeah.
I know what you mean about like the whole Black Panther and Guardians thing, because like it's going to be the part of that excites me is it is Chadwick Boseman. Like, it's his last performance as Black Panther. That's going to be nice to see. But like the part of me that's a stickler is like, hang on, in Guardians 2, it turns out that Yondu picks Star-Lord up because he was sent by Ego, which doesn't actually mean that the actual what if isn't what if T'Challa was taken. It's what if Ego banged T'Challa's mum? Is that the what if?
Maybe, yeah. It could be, because he's in it though, isn't he? Isn't there a shot of Ego in it?
Yeah, he's in the trailer.
So maybe that's the what if. I'm really curious if there's going to be like a thing that like links them together, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be, it's not just going to be like random episodes and each one's a different thingy. Like, I want to know if there's like, did you ever play Spider-Man? Is it Shattered Dimensions? I think it's Dimensions.
It's a fun game.
And the whole thing is that so it's a bunch of different, it's the 4 different Spider-Man, isn't it? But they're all linked by the story of like Madam Web or something.
Yep.
I'm curious to know whether it's going to be that, and that there's going to be one person. It's going to start with like one person interacting with whoever, and then that person showing the main character all these different alternate realities or something, or whether it's just going to be like just like each episode's different and it's like, oh, it's just a different universe or something, or like there's a bit of a thing at the beginning, it's like this is universe whatever, and then shows it, and there's not going to be like a link to him, or there's not going to be like an overall, like just a general story. I'm kind of curious to see how they do that.
I think currently that is how they're going to do it, and I think the person taking us to the through line, I think it's going to be Doctor Strange. I think the Doctor Strange you see in the trailer is the prime Benedict Cumberbatch MCU Doctor Strange, and he's being pulled from reality to reality.
Okay. I mean, I'm curious to see how this is going to thingy then, because it seems like this would be, if that's what it's going to be, him kind of exploring the multiverse kind of thing, that to me kind of seems like it could be what the Clone Wars was with Star Wars, where what we should have had is one film that came out before it that opens up the multiverse. Like, I know we've had hints of it, like Loki kind of hints, but that's more time rather than multiverse stuff. There should have been a film that opens it up, like creates the thing that opens up the multiverse, whatever, and then you get What If, which is him exploring it, and then maybe, I don't know, his film comes out, Multiverse of Madness, it explains him, I don't know, closing it up again or something. Like, it could have been like a chunk, but I don't know if this, when does it come out soon? It comes out soon, doesn't it? Like, really soon.
Yeah, August 11th.
So, like, yeah, so it kind of feels like, unless maybe that bit with him exploring the multiverse is going to be at the beginning of this, maybe, I don't know. But then that's a really weird thing to put into like an animated show. If it's going to be
definitely
in like a bunch of other, like if it is going to be in Spider-Man and it is going to be in his film, that seems like a really weird thing to put in because not everyone's going to watch the thing, everyone's going to watch the animated thing. Like, I feel like
people are going to bin it off
now.
Yeah.
Kind of like Plus, but
like lots of people watch The Mandalorian, significantly less people are watching Bad Batch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I think it, I kind of hope that this isn't the thing that opens up. You know what I mean? Like, you have to watch this to. I mean, they never really
Yeah.
do a you have to watch this to understand what's going on here kind of thing anyway. Like, unless it's like the big event movies, like, um, but I don't know. I think if this is the kind of the first kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it should be good if it's just he's just already doing it. You know what I mean? Like, he's just casually exploring his powers or whatever. He's like, oh, look at all these different universes. Let's just go see them. Um, like, I don't think something should happen in this that leads to his movie, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
I agree.
like, I don't think something should happen in this, which is what causes stuff in Spider-Man to happen. You know what I mean? I think this should just be kind of like a fun little, oh, what if, and you mean, like, I don't know. It looks fun though. Looks good. Like, I do kind of get why it's animated, because it would take a lot more to bring some of the actors back to make it live action. As cool as it would be to see it in live action, yeah, it would have take. It suddenly becomes a lot bigger of a project if they try and do it
Yeah.
in live action.
The
I think.
cost of that thing would have just skyrocketed so
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
out of control. Yeah, yeah. I could totally agree. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It looks good. And let's end with some
yeah,
heartwarming news. So everyone has completely fallen in love with Alligator Loki from the last episode of
yeah.
Loki. It was very, very fun. It was really, really funny. And I just wanted to let everyone know that apparently they used a real alligator for like visual reference, obviously, to CGI it. That's not uncommon. But the alligator in question was called Wally, and it is an emotional support alligator.
Oh, nice, nice.
Helps its
I like that.
helps its owner out. The owner's called Joey Henry, and it helps him like through anxiety and depressive episodes, and it's really, really sweet. And I just think that's adorable. Like, I would never ever think
Nice.
of an alligator being a good emotional support animal, but their
No,
Wally
that
is.
seems like a Florida thing. Honestly, I'll be honest. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you want an alligator, if you think if he's gonna help you, then fair enough. You know what I mean? Get an alligator. Why not? Get what you need.
Wise
You know what I mean?
words. So before we move on and talk about Black Widow, I don't have anything to bring to the discussion today, but has there been anything you've been watching, reading, playing, whatever, that you wanted to give a shout out and a chat about?
Quiet Place Part 2. That kind of I watched that really late though. I feel like everyone had kind of watched that by the time I watched it, and I feel like loads of people have watched that by now. It's good. I enjoyed it. They definitely opened it up. Well, I mean, they kind of left it on a cliffhanger a little bit. I mean, they did. Like the ending of the first film ended. They did like the grey ending where it cuts off before something. They start to fight and whatever. But
Sure.
this one ends with more of a. Oh, I can't fully remember what happens. It kind of feels like with this one. Like, my thing with it was, when I was watching it, a lot of people are kind of annoyed by the ending that it kind of ends. It feels like the ending is to set up a sequel, and it definitely is. But it doesn't feel like how with a lot of stuff where, they go into it being like, okay, we want to make this a trilogy. How do we do that kind of whatever? It feels like what they've done is, as they've written it, they've had an idea for a story, just thinking, okay, this would be a good story for the second one. And then as they began to write it, this felt like the story's got too big. And it's like, naturally, okay, we'll just split it into two. Rather than, okay, we need 2 movies worth of story here. Let's come up with a big story. It feels like it started out as a story for the sequel and turned into 2 films. So I'm not that bothered about it being them setting up a sequel, because it feels... Yeah, like, he just wants to tell a story, and he felt that it would be better to tell as 2 parts, so it's not like one big clumsy, like, telling the story. I think that's kind of what I got from the ending. It didn't like annoy me or anything. I thought it was good. Cillian
It's
Murphy,
fair enough.
he's really
It's fair
good.
enough.
I thought he was the bad guy, but he's not. So, yeah.
Does
It's
it?
good.
I mean, does
Cillian
the
Murphy's good.
my question about that movie would largely be: does the gimmick like hold up over 2 films?
So, I mean, it's weird. It's like, it's the thing with the Quiet Place. Even in the first one, they don't really shy away from showing the monster anyway. They don't use the whole don't show the monster. If you show the monster, it won't be scary anymore. The whole thing is that it's like a thriller more than a horror film, I'd say. So like, it's like the tense moments. So it's not like, the monster looks scary. This is a scary looking thing. Scary image is going to give you nightmares. It's more of like you kind of stressed out watching it because of the way the film's made. So like a lot of the quiet stuff and I mean, I think it holds up to the second one because it's just more, different tense scenes and it's not maybe it's if I was gonna pick a better one, I think maybe it's not as good as the first one, but I feel that's just because the first one was the first one and it was a brand new concept kind of thing, and going into the second one, you kind of knew what to expect. But no, it's just interesting. It's like it doesn't take itself like crazy seriously. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we've got a bigger budget. Let's see what we can go. It feels like just the story carrying on. It doesn't feel like we're making a sequel. What can we do that's different? It's just like this is what happened. It felt like the story just continued. You know what I mean? Like it felt like you could watch the two films and it just flows. Like the second one takes place pretty much immediately after the first one ends. And you kind of get the feeling that the third one's going to do the same. And it's going to kind of, like Back to the Future, where it runs as like a one big story over 3 films. I think that's
fair.
And you could watch them all together as one big film if you wanted to. Because the second one's really not that long as well. It's only like an hour and a half, maybe. Which makes me kind of think, which is why I kind of think that they just had one big story idea and he felt that it wouldn't fit into one film. So he split it into 2. Because, you know what I mean? Like with, what's the example I used? Pirates of the Caribbean. With the last, like, obviously, don't get me wrong, like, I obviously love Pirates of the Caribbean, but you can tell with those films that they made the first one, it was a massive success, and they're like, right, let's make a trilogy. And we need to think of a story we need to think of a villain, think of a story that's going to stretch over 2 films. And they did it that way. So, whereas with this, you can't. So, and because of that, the films are like 2 hours long, the normal thing. Whereas this, it's just like, made the film and it just came out an hour and a half. Right, that's fine. We'll just make the next one. Because I think the film in the third one, like straight away, like back to back almost. I mean, I don't know, maybe. I'm sure I might have read that, but yeah, it's good though. I enjoyed it. It's worth watching.
Fair news. That's good news.
Yeah.
Good. That's nice to hear. I like it when movies are good. So, with that being said, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Let's talk about Black Widow. It has been a long time. It's felt so long since I've been in a cinema and I've heard the Marvel Studios fanfare, and I hate to be really lame and sappy, but it was pretty cool, you know?
Yeah. First one since
I feel like
Spider-Man, yeah.
I feel like the thing about Marvel movies is you're never going in there for incredible new breaking down cinematic boundaries or but like you're almost always guaranteed a good time. Like I think you have to kind of go in with a bit of a grinchy attitude. You know what I mean? At least now, like we're past Thor: The Dark World. We've come a long way since then, and almost everything since at least I'd say Spider-Man: Homecoming has been at least a good fun time. So, this movie, how would you describe the story, Joe, of this film? Let's do non-spoilers first, and I'll put a time code in the description for if you don't want any spoilers, and then we'll talk about spoilers later.
The story is very. You can tell that they had to really limit what they could do. I mean, obviously a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They can't do a lot of stuff. They had to really do the story in a way that kind of was like, we can't do it this way because if it's like we could introduce these characters, but we can't do it so that they've been there the whole time or whatever, because why has she not mentioned it before? There's been bits in the past where she's gone about how she has no family and all sort of stuff. So I think there was a lot of limitations when it came to writing it. it was the villain. I mean, well, we'll end up talking about the villain stuff anyway later, but the overall villain is kind of exactly who I expected it to be. The people she was going after is who I imagined.
Sure, yeah,
when
yeah.
When he said they were doing a Black Widow film, I was like, okay, so she's gonna go after the people in Russia who made her into Black Widow, and that's exactly what it is. But I feel like there's really, unless they just wanted to just do something completely unrelated, I guess. I felt that was always going to kind of be the story.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like I don't know how I'd feel if it was completely completely unrelated, because what's the point in having given her own film and then it being like, oh, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. It's a film that probably shouldn't have come out when it did. It should have come out at some point after Civil War and before Infinity War, I think. It should have come out when it's
That's been a lot of people's big critique about this movie, and it's my major critique. Like, I'm quite happy to say that a lot of this movie I think lands for me. But yeah, it's set right after Civil War. Maybe parts of it are just before the end credit scene in Civil War, where Steve busts out Team Cap. And yeah, it should have come out basically when it was set, because there's a lot of action sequences in this movie which are they're really cool. Like, a lot of people, and I'll steal this take from a lot of other publications because I think they're right. A lot of the action, if you got to compare it to anything else in the MCU, it feels kind of like The Winter Soldier. Like, it's quite brutal. Yeah. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat.
It's the way that
all the guns are quite weighty. Like, a lot of the action has a lot of impact. But when Natasha Romanoff is in the scene, the impact is significantly lessened because I know she has to end up in Infinity War, in Endgame, in Vormir, and that, like, I know that's the lesson, and it's the movie almost seems to be going out of its way sometimes to frustrate you, I think, if you remember that, because there's, and I hate to be this guy because I fucking hate when people pick things like this up, but it did happen enough to the point that I went, hang on, there's injuries that she sustains in this film that should have killed her. Like, I could be remembering, I could be forgetting even that there's maybe a bit of some sort of super soldier serum or conditioning that the widows go through that makes them, like, extra tough. And if that's the case, if I'm forgetting, I'm perfectly willing to hold up my hands.
I mean, I don't think they mention it or anything, but
I don't think there is. There's a bit at the start of the movie where Taskmaster shows up, and I can't remember the exact. I can't remember if it's so. Her car gets hit with, like, a rocket. Her car explodes. She gets out, and then I think I might be misremembering this, but I think then she gets hit by, like, either Taskmaster hits her with another projectile, or she gets hit by some sort of truck, and then flies into a rock, bounces off that rock and into the side of a bridge, and then into the river. And, like, I can buy that she's a super spy with insane reflexes, and she can figure out a way to survive the fall into the river. Like, you know what? It's a Marvel movie. I'll suspend my disbelief. That's fine. Her spine is broken. Like, she's paraplegic now. You know what I mean? And you see the injury later, and it's just like a bruise. Like, it's a big bruise, but it's just a bruise. And there's like a bit later where, again, Taskmaster, like, sorry, go on.
I'm just gonna say that she just literally just climbs out the river and was like, right, cool, and then it instantly just cuts to, I can't remember where it cuts to, but yeah, she's just fine. She's like, oh, I've got the thing that's, this is it, right? This is it. I know what I'm doing now. And then that's it. There's no moment for her to, like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, the fall into the river and then that's it, right? That's it. Don't really mention the fight again. And then, if anything, in the scene immediately, she's fighting again straight away in the scene immediately after it.
There's a scene, like, halfway through where her and Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, who I'll I'll say right at the top, Florence Pugh absolutely fucking killed it in this movie. She's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I bought her character so fucking quickly. But there's a scene where they're in a car, and again, Taskmaster shows up and then shoots a rocket or a grenade or something underneath their car, and it's a huge explosion, sends the car into the air and like tips over, and it goes down like a set of stairs and stuff. It's a massive like it just flies so far. And the only injury either one of them, the airbags don't go off. Like, they've got the seatbelts on, but the airbags don't go off. It lands on its back on the top of the car, and the only injury either one of them seems to sustain is Yelena is bleeding from the arm. That's it. Like, it's just like they suture the wound and that's it. And it feels like it's a shame because it's almost like they went, okay, everyone knows Natasha survives this movie, so now she just gets to be literally invincible. And again, I feel like that's such a minor thing, but it's like your action's fucking really cool, and it's got all this impact, and you are kind of lessening it by leaning into the we've got an unkillable character. Just because of when the movie was made versus when the character died, and that I thought was a shame. Kind of let it down a little bit.
Yeah, it just kind of hang over the film, like, for the whole thing. You know, like, if, like, yeah, I don't know. I think the fact this is, like, I mean, you go into thing, don't you? Like, if this film did come out before Infinity War and Endgame, I wouldn't have gone in expecting them to kill her off. You know what I mean? Like, if a character's gonna get killed off, she is gonna get killed off in a big event film like Infinity War or Endgame. But still, it would have still had the fight. Like, you know what I mean? There's still a lot of things where it would have been more impactful because you didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't know if she was like, even though I'd go in and not expecting that, but you never, still maybe they would do it. Whereas it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of gets if anything, I kind of get the film with this film that they were kind of developing it for ages. They had like a basic story, and then they made the decision. And so, whoever was writing it, maybe, I don't know, or maybe they had an idea what the story was going to be, and then they made the decision that she was going to die in Endgame, and it was like, right, they had to adapt the story to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know. It could. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I feel like if it come out before Infinity War, I mean, I don't know if it would have been any better, but it would have been. There would have just been something. You know what I mean? There would have been something different. I think the whole fact that we know she dies, hanging over the film, it just puts it in like a slightly different light, and I think not having that there. Like, if you were going to show these films to someone who'd never seen them before, didn't know anything, you should definitely show this. If you're going to show them absolutely all of them, if you're going to do an absolute, just complete Marvel marathon, and you're going to show all of them, I think you should show this one when it's set. Because it's just, I don't know. There's a light. There's something, it hangs over it,
I've argued with people before who have said that, like, you should watch the film is like Captain America first, then Captain Marvel, and do it like complete chronologically. That especially if you're going for a first time viewer, you just shouldn't do that, because like you're going to be introduced to Captain Marvel and then she's going to disappear for 22 movies, and there's going to be that line in Winter Soldier where Nick Fury talks about, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye, and then it's just a fucking alien cat. And it's you're a liar. What are you talking about, Nick? But in this instance, if you're showing them to someone who's never seen them, put it where it is, and then just don't let them watch the end credit scene, which we'll talk about later on in spoilers. But like, if you've seen it, you know why you don't show them the end credit scene until after the fact. It's weird, because I actually think if it had come out, if this exact movie, exactly as it is, had have come out post Civil War, I genuinely think it would have been heralded, particularly by like people who really like action movies, sorts of people who got into MCU because of Winter Soldier, as one of the best MCU movies. because the action's really solid. The fight choreography is unbelievable. Some of the CGI sequences are like actually kind of breathtaking. Like at the end of the movie, I'm trying to decide whether or not this is spoiler free. Yeah, no, you see it in the trailer. There's a big facility and it blows up, and there's a skydiving segment where characters are fighting on the debris as it's falling, and it's really fucking cool. It looks kind of unbelievable. I do think if this exact film came out in 2016, 2017, it would be heralded at the time as one of the best MCU movies, 100%.
Yes, I think especially after like Winter Soldier as well, because they're very similar vibes, you know, like kind of like shady kind of, you know, government stuff, especially considering Winter Soldier is a very similar thing to like the Red Room and like the Russian kind of like sleeper agents and stuff. I think if anything, it fits really well next to Winter Soldier because it's similar kind of vibe, you know, it's very similar. I mean, again, obviously you wouldn't watch it straight after Winter Soldier, you watch it after Civil War, but it's kind of they're very similar kind of films. I think they're just kind of like spy kind of action thingy movies, whereas a lot of the others tend to be kind of, especially now as well, that we're going into. You've had all. I mean, I know we had like Falcon the Winter Soldier, which was kind of that kind of vibe, but I think a lot of the new stuff Marvel stuff are doing now, especially the upcoming films, is kind of going into the more like cosmic side of it, rather than these kind of...
Definitely.
So if anything, that's the other thing I felt watching this. Watching this while in the middle of watching Loki, it didn't feel necessarily like it was taking place in the same universe. Like, it felt weird to think that this, you know, action film set about this family, and also it's set in the same universe where these time traveling agent TVA. I was like, I didn't buy it that much.
Totally, because there's some really dark implications in Black Widow. Because I'll tell you what, we've not really talked about the family dynamic, David Harbour and Rachel Weisz and stuff. I think they're pretty great, but I think now is as good a time as any to step into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the film, recommend switching off now. If you've seen it, you're fine. The real villain of the movie, not the advertised villain, the real villain, Ray Winston's Dreykov. Do you know what? I think this is going to be a take that not everyone agrees with, and I completely get why, but I fucking actually really dug him, right? Not because I thought he was like a super menacing, whatever. It's just that, like, I love that he was this guy who'd spent decades harnessing and hoarding, like, political power over every single major country in the world through his widows, and then he's got it. He's like, he says at the end of the movie, "Look, I'm stationed everywhere. Look at all this power I've got," and he's not doing anything with it. And I think that's actually a fucking brilliant character thing, because he's just a fucking loser and a hoarder. Like, he's not, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He could flip the world upside down in a second, and he doesn't want to. He just likes having this power. I really dug that aspect of his character.
I think the thing with him, I felt that because I mean, I quite liked him as well, but my thing with him is he felt, I mean, I didn't feel, I don't know, he was very kind of like generic kind of action movie, you know, John Wick style not gangster, but like, you know, head of a corporation villain kind of thing. You know, he's got his fancy suit on, he's got his ring and stuff. He's, you know, this big dude, you know, he's got his thingy. But even though that's how he is, it's like still real. I don't know. It's like, see, I say that we use the word generic, but it's not generic. It's, you know what I mean? It felt like he was good generic, like he was the best kind of way that type of character could be. Like, they'd taken this,
the performance kind of sold it,
kind of thing. Yeah, I think. But then I think if he was any other way, the character wouldn't have worked. He had to be the way he was. like, you know, with the office,
Yeah.
the really nice office, and he's got his suit and the thing. I think it really worked that way. Because I think the kind of character that he is, like real life versions of the character that he is where that kind of generic boss style thing came from, like people like that. So it worked that it was, you know, like I think that, yeah, I liked him as well.
I think the thing that worked the best, the reason I think it really landed with me wasn't just like, because I agree with you, the overall presentation really put it together, and Ray Winston's performance really put it together, but the way he gets beat, which is essentially he believes his own hype too much. Like they hatch this plan, and Natasha just uses all of his fucking ego that he can never ever be touched. That's the thing that stops him. Like, he's a fucking loser, and he's an idiot, and I love that it wasn't just like, there's plenty of punch ups in this movie, and I like that he wasn't taken out by a punch up. You know, that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I mean, I still think that. I mean, as soon as I came out this movie, I said it, like, obviously the kind of advertised that Taskmaster was the villain of this whole movie, and I mean, we're doing spoilers, so she isn't at all the villain of the whole movie.
No,
I feel like the character is so wasted in this movie, like really bad. Like they could have so easily like used like a B-list, C-list villain and put it into that role. You know what I mean? Like someone completely unrelated. You know, whereas Taskmaster could be like a huge. Like we kind of said this the other day. We didn't when we were talking about it. Like I wouldn't say he's, you know, big, huge Avengers film villain or whatever, but he could be like, you know, a kind of team up movie villain. No, like, you know what I mean? Like he could be the villain of a whole.
I said
film.
I said the Young Avengers. It should be a Young Avengers movie where they have to take on someone who's got all the abilities of the previous team. Like he's the shoes they're stepping into. I've got such a complicated fucking feeling about the way that Taskmaster was handled in this movie because, and it's weird. I want to tread carefully because I don't want to attract the wrong kind of people. Because I will say that the twist, I quite liked it. Like the reveal of who Taskmaster was. Like if you're going to reveal who Taskmaster was, and it's this movie, I think it definitely worked with the story they were telling. It's Dreykov's daughter, and I don't mind that they changed the gender in any way. Like I don't necessarily know that you needed a big Taskmaster reveal, but like I'm fine with the way that it is. My problem is like it feels like they wasted Taskmaster because the appeal to Taskmaster to me is Taskmaster. Whatever, in the comics, he's got all this ability to copy everyone's fighting styles and stuff. And I didn't mind that they didn't go into it necessarily in this movie about what exactly that ability is. Like, I read it as she has this ability and the suit can store data. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the suit was doing like any of the
helps. Work. Yeah.
But Taskmaster is a boastful villain. That's what makes him a lot of fun in the comics, is he's constantly like shouting at his opponent that there's absolutely no way they can win. It's impossible they can win because he can copy everything that he does. And just like Dreykov, every single time that overconfidence is his downfall. And that's fun to watch. And he gets more and more and more entertaining every time you see him because he keeps coming up with this confidence even though he keeps losing, which just makes him a fucking liar. You know? It's tremendously entertaining. And I was disappointed that the use of Taskmaster in this movie was this silent menace, always walking slowly to the heroes, getting there, doing a couple of severe punches, and then they've flown off, and then you have to get up and repeat the process. And it's funny, you know, because when I was talking about this movie with my partner after we saw it, and they tried to call me out for having that criticism by bringing up the Winter Soldier, because that's exactly how he's portrayed in that movie, in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I'm perfectly willing to say what I said then, which is, I actually think the Winter Soldier is also a fucking boring villain for that exact reason. It's not tremendously entertaining, but I think the reason that it worked more in the Captain America movie is because Steve recognized him very quickly, which meant that even though the style of fight scenes might not have been the most engaging, and his presence might not have been the most engaging as someone who wants a bit more out of the comic book villains, the interpersonal drama of Steve versus Bucky kept that movie entertaining. Whereas because Natasha doesn't find out who Taskmaster is until the very, very end of the film, with 10 minutes to spare, that's lost completely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's I think I mean, I don't know. It kind of feels like what they've done is they've kind of taken Taskmaster and kind of spread the character between, both obviously normal Taskmaster and the guy. I can't remember what his name is. The dude, the bad guy, the main dude. Because he's kind of thing. He's very, like you said, like the Taskmaster in the comics, very boastful. He's like, I'm going to win. You can't defeat me. That's what the dude's like in this. They've kind of spread the character out between the two villains. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole plot twist of it being his daughter, it worked. I thought it was a good plot twist, but they could have just done it with someone else. You know what I mean? They could have done it with any number of different villains. Like Marvel's been around since the bloody 1940s. There's so many villains it could have been, and they just use Taskmaster because it's like, oh, Taskmaster, he's a character that's relatively well known amongst people. He's been in stuff. Let's use him, and it's like, a waste. It could have been. Oh, I don't know. I think. It could have been. Imagine,
and it's worth noting that they do waste it because, like at the end of the movie, she uses the gas that frees the widows from the mind control. And what I thought might happen, what I really thought might happen was she gets released from the mind control and then just keeps going after Natasha. She just is like that. You know what I mean? She was obeying his orders, but actually, no, she really does fucking want to kill you. And I thought that would have been a great way to be able to retain you. Now you can keep using Taskmaster. But
whereas now
she's just free, and nice.
She's not even. I think I wouldn't. It's really weird. It's a really weird one. I think I wouldn't have liked it if it was all, because we said this before we watched it, didn't we? That it kind of looked like the trailer kind of made it look like the whole being able to copy what they were doing, thing was in the suit. That it was all just the suit, and the suit helped to kind of do it. I don't know if I would like that if that's what it was. I like that Taskmaster has the ability to watch someone and kind of count, as soon as they see him, they can copy it. But then at the same time, with the ending that we have, I also would, if it turned out that it was the suit that was doing it and not her, with the ending that we got, it would have filled me with some hope that maybe they could have brought the character back. Maybe someone else gets the hand on the suit. Give the suit to
someone else.
And we can, I think then it would have been a good... Because if anything, you could then have the proper Taskmaster where it's like, but this person's found a suit and then all of a sudden...
I am concerned about Marvel doing that repeatedly, though. Because we're doing it with the Mandarin and Shang-Chi. And we're kind of all letting them have that one for now because they really, really, really fucked up the last time.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think we can keep half-assing villains and then promising the real version later.
Yeah. I think the thing with this one is, it's not... I don't know. I feel like the backlash with this one's not as big. Taskmaster, he's not, it's not all, the film, he's not bad in this film. You know what I mean? It's just annoying that they've wasted the character. I don't lose sleep over it if he's never in any other Marvel film ever again, but I think whereas with the Mandarin, they just absolutely just ruined, you know what I mean? Just ruined him in that film, and I think that's why they'll do it again. I don't think they will actually, unless they do something related to all those, related to kind of the David Harbour characters and kind of just all the widows that get freed at the end, unless they do something with them. Because I have a feeling that Taskmaster's just going to stay with them, kind of thing. If they do something with them, then maybe she'll be in it again. But like, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's just thing, isn't it? It's just annoying because Taskmaster it's such a cool concept that could be part of a really big, good story. There's a lot you can do with like a dude who can mimic people's, abilities. Like, I think that's a really cool concept, and yeah, it's just, I don't know.
And you kind of see it get used to good effect in this movie. There's one scene that I really love, in the final act where, because David Harbour's character Red Guardian constantly talks about Captain America and constantly talks about fights that there's no way he could have had against Captain America, which is very fun.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he gets a chance to fight Captain America through Taskmaster. Like, the fighting style she's using at that moment is very much, it's all Captain America. And he gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah. I think that's really, I really like that.
It's really effective use.
I think that's like one of, that's what I mean. Like, that's something they could really kind of, like, just leaned into in a different movie. Like, just, it could have, like you said with the Young Avengers, like, they kind of, maybe the film, that if it was, he was the villain or she was a villain in a Young Avengers film, maybe, I don't know, something happens at the beginning of that film where they feel like maybe they're not as good as the other Avengers, and then all of a sudden Taskmaster comes along who can do everything the other Avengers can, and then they fight him at the end and they defeat him at the end. And suddenly they've got this confidence, like, okay, yeah, maybe we are as good as the others in, like, our own way, kind of thing. Whereas, I mean, maybe you can still do that with a different villain, but I feel like Taskmaster would have, like, fit into that story really well. But I don't know. Maybe they'll think it. Maybe they will bring her back, or it'll be a him or something. I don't know. Like, maybe they'll reveal that it was the suit, and because I think it'd be an interesting concept where if it had been the suit and they made it clear in this that it was the suit, I think it would be really interesting for, like, like a kind of really rich, like, snobby rich kid or whatever who buys the suit and all of a sudden can do all these things, and then he suddenly becomes, like, the really boastful version of him, and he's like, look at me, I'm really powerful, I can do all the stuff
Justin
the Avengers
Hammer
can do, and then
Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
There you go. See. I think that's what I mean. I think it would really work. It would work really well. But I don't know. I don't think they have any plans for Taskmaster. It kind of felt a bit like they just needed someone for this film, and they were like, "Yeah, Taskmaster's pretty good. He's kind of cool. He's a villain that people know. Stick him in there." I don't know. He could hold a whole movie, I think.
I agree.
As a villain, but no, doesn't matter now because we've already seen him.
I want to talk briefly about because in the trailers they lean really heavily into that whole family dynamic, Natasha's secret family we didn't know about.
Yeah.
So obviously they're filled out by Florence Pugh's Yelena, Rachel Weisz's Melina, and David Harbour's Alexei, the Red Guardian. And I thought, I definitely thought those guys all really, like, held the movie together, and there was an amazing sense. One of the things I really dug was the, like, emotional writing in this movie. Like, every character up until and including Black Widow had, like, an emotionality that I've not seen her, like, have in, like, any previous movie. Like, I said, but when this movie first got announced, I was like, I'm really worried about it because sounds awful. I don't like the way Black Widow speaks. Right, that's what I said at the time. I don't like the way Black Widow speaks. I've got ready on my ledger. Like, all the fucking lines are just fucking cringeworthy. What it turns out is, it's not that I don't like the way Black Widow speaks. I don't like the way Joss Whedon writes women. It's simple as that. Whereas in this movie, she's a full character. She's constantly engaging, and the entire supporting cast is constantly feeding in and off each other. Like, everyone in this movie, at least in the main cast, is fucking brilliant. Like there's that scene
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of the movie where they go and they meet up with Rachel Weisz's character, and she starts dishing dinner out and having a go at Natasha for slouching, and it feels so bizarrely natural for the scenario you're in at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
With David Harbour
Yeah, yeah.
squeezing into skin tight outfit in the other room. Like it
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
like it should be out of place, but it really works. It's really good stuff. I
Like it
think.
works. Yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I do really like the thing. I think they're really good. I really hope that we do see the. I mean, I know we're obviously going to see Thingy Florence Pugh's character again. Is that how you say her name? Pugh. I think it is.
Yes, Pew.
Yes, Florence Pugh. I mean, I know we're going to see her again, because of the after credit scene, but we all kind of just assumed anyway. As soon as we saw her in it and in the suits, when they released the first trailer and we all saw her in the white Black Widow suit, we all just kind of assumed, because obviously by the time the first trailer came out, we'd seen Endgame, we knew that Natasha Romanoff dies. So we all just kind of assumed that they're introducing her to be the next Black Widow, basically. So I imagine, and obviously the after credit scene basically reveals or confirms that she's going to be in it again. I do kind of hope we see like David Harbour's character again, though. I do quite like the Red Guardian. I don't know how they could use him, but it'd be I think it'd be kind of cool to see. I did quite like him. He was very good. Plus he's a good actor anyway, so I won't mind seeing him in more films.
Yeah. There was a great scene I thought in the middle near that dinner scene where Yelena like storms out of the room and he goes to try and cheer her up and it's like failing like horribly. And I really love like a lot of the writing, like the actual like character writing was really strong. Like I like how quickly Yelena was to call out like obvious lies. Like, no, you called me a chore. Like you didn't want to be part of our family. I'm the work. How dare you come and try and cheer me up? You shouldn't even be in here. It was really, really good stuff, and she performed it really well. And then he like stops trying to tell stupid stories to cheer her up and breaks and starts singing American Pie to her. And the performance of both of them in that scene was like really, it's the closest the movie got to like properly pulling on my heartstrings. I thought it was really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was really good. Really kind of like thing.
There was one thing that I did. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say I think if he's gonna be in it again, it's gonna be something to do with her. I don't think he's not gonna get like his own like movie, or he's gonna be something to do with her. Like, isn't like I don't know, maybe they do like missions or whatever together. Maybe he works for the thingy as well, the Madam Hydra woman who's not really Madam Hydra because Hydra's not a thing and thing anymore as far as we know. But I feel like if he's going to be in it, it's going to be something to do with her, and you're going to kind of have this. I think it'd be interesting to see that kind of father-daughter superhero kind of thing. I think that'd be a really interesting way to do it. Yeah, like if they, I mean, obviously, we've only seen them in this one film, so at the minute they've not really got a thingy. But like, kind of, if she does become the new Black Widow and kind of we see more of her and people start to really like her and stuff, I think if at some point maybe she gets her own movie, like they maybe do a Black Widow 2, similar to what they're doing with Captain America 4. If they do Black Widow 2, but it's with her, I think if he would be in it again, he would be kind of the supporting character. I think that'd be like an interesting. I think it'd be cool to see him actually do mission stuff, not kind of like how he would have done back in the day when he was Red Guardian and all this other stuff. Like not actually, just kind of like he's had time to kind of actually get back into that kind of he's kind of strong again and but like he's still kind of older, and I think it'd be cool to see him like do stuff, and I think there'd be a lot of scenes kind of like that one. where it's like, maybe he's actually starting to. I mean, you kind of get the thing anyway that he like, he's like she's like a daughter to him anyway, but like properly, kind of more. He sees himself as a dad kind of thing. I think that'd be really an interesting thing he could do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The one other thing I kind of wanted to point out before we kind of wrap up and talk about the end credit scene and what it can mean is the one other problem I kind of had with the movie was that the writing on the whole felt like there's a lot of really strong stuff, and that's like I said, like the scene where Yelena's like calling out these like lies that Alexi's telling and things like this, which I thought was really, really strong, which unfortunately weaken like elements later. Like, for example, one thing that I picked up on was that at the start of the movie, Red Guardian is talking to Dreykov, and he's talking about ideology. Like, that's why he's supporting him, because he believes that through Dreykov, his system of how he thinks the world should work through, like, he literally they're not subtle about it at all. He literally has Karl Marx tattooed across his fucking knuckles, which is hilarious. Like he really believes in Marxism. He really believes in communism, clearly, and he thinks that Dreykov's going to bring that in. And obviously, Dreykov's not looking to do that. He's a very Stalinistic like character who's just using and abusing the language in order to just gain more power. Which fine, that's fine. That makes sense. Like that's not a trip up in the writing. That's good. It's actually because of Alexi's strong sense of ideology that I question at the end of the movie, when the mind control comes off, that all the widows are just nice, including Taskmaster. You know what I mean? It's like, you're gonna tell me that not one of these people just actually thinks, no, this is how the world should be.
Like, considering they've spent their entire lives like being conditioned as well.
Exactly. Their frame of reference for how the world works is so drastically different to you or I. So why should they have the same? Like, they even make a point of like Melina asks Natasha in the middle of the movie, "How did you keep your heart? Because I've never had one." And Natasha's like, "Well, you pretended to have one, and it made me have a real one. Like, you were my mother. I thought of you as my mother, and you taught me good lessons, and I held on to them. But for the rest of them, they may not have had a Melina, you know? Like, so why why do they just go, oh, yeah, right, it's gone now, so I accept standard Western concepts of good and evil?"
I think there could have been like a really easy way they could have got around that as well, where they just, instead of, they just come out of it, and then, I don't know, maybe they just, I don't know, they just do it in a different way, where like, if once they've been like, they can, like, the mind control's worn off, they just, I don't know, maybe they're just a bit tired, you know what I mean? Like, maybe a bit drowsy, whatever. They don't suddenly, it could have just been that there was a bit of a side effect for having the mind control. They're just like suddenly fine straight away. They're fighting her, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're the bad guys, we gotta stop fighting her. I think. And obviously the ship explodes or whatever, so they can't just be all drowsy and asleep and shit. They need to escape. But I don't know, I think they could have figured out a way to kind of, and then they didn't even, it's a simple thing that they could have avoided by just changing like a little thing to do with that sparkly dust cloud thing. You know, maybe, I don't know. I get what you mean, where it does feel like they're all of a suddenly like, oh, we're not spies anymore. We're now Americans. So, you know.
Because everyone else in the movie feels much more nuanced and fleshed out. So I mean, I get you're not going to give them all a character, but like at the start of the movie, when Yelena, her mind control gets broken, she's also in the middle of killing another widow. So it makes sense that she goes, oh shit, I definitely shouldn't be doing this. Something's up.
I think like you said, you didn't have to give them everyone a character. They could have given them like a character as like just a group character almost. You know what I mean? Like they could have been something even just similar to that, where they could have been doing something. I know, like something different than just beating on Natasha or whatever when the dust was broke or whatever. Like, you know, maybe the dude got them to do something which is very clearly not, you know, very clearly wrong. And then the dust falls on them, and then they're like, "Oh shit, this is evil. This is what we should be doing." It could, you know what I mean? It would have been fine to just do that again, as long as it was different. But yeah, it just kind of feel a bit like the dust falls, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, one of the bad guys, so let's just be good guys for a bit." Because it doesn't really go into it that much, does it? It kind of makes you like a bit. It suggests that they're aware of what they're doing, but they can't stop themselves or something. It's really vague about what the mind control stuff actually does. Like whether it's like, I don't know. I mean, not that I would want them to go into detail about how it works, because it would just be lots of just people stood around being like, "This is how it." But I know the fact that it's vague could have helped. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. They could have. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. I just don't know what you mean. It felt very kind of like all of a sudden they were the good guys again. Not that I don't know. Yeah. It's a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess actually the one other thing I've remembered that I wasn't super keen on was and I've purposely not Googled his name because I don't think the movie says it, and if it does, it's very fleeting. I didn't like Black Widow's mate. Her British mate who just turns up, who we've never met before, who's very friendly and British and just can get Quinjets. Who the fuck is he? He's very awkwardly implemented as to part of this movie.
It kind of felt that he just kind of seems like the one that he's like a filler almost. Like it's like, oh, she needs something, so I'll give her a character can give her stuff. Like at the end, it's like, oh wait, she needs a Quinjet because they have one in Infinity War. Oh, that dude can get a one. You know what I mean? It feels very, I don't know, it's really weird. I mean, I don't know if he's a character in the comics, or if he's based on someone, or I don't know if he felt very implemented. He's on like
I'd check, but like his name never came up, so
no, like you'd have to like IMDb it or something and see like who's credited as, because he's just I don't know. He's just the dude that pushes the story forward by getting the stuff that she needs, and that's it. Like, because they haven't got the time for her to go steal one or whatever, or, you know, just, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing. Like, did she really need to do the whole thing at the beginning?
I feel like he was also...
Like, it was really... Like, the whole thing at the beginning...
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Helping her get the caravan, could she not have just already been living there? She's on the run, you know what I mean? Like, could she not have just... If she was in the caravan, I would have assumed, oh, she's on the run, she's got a caravan in the wilderness. I didn't need to know that he got it for her. You know what I mean? Like, they could have found a different way to get her to go to Budapest, so... Yeah, I don't know. He did very much feel like a filler character because they needed to push the story forward. They could have come up with more creative ways for her to get her hands on the things that he provides, but I don't know. I'm not the script writer, so
100%. 100%. Well, let's push on then. So obviously, movie ends. Black Widow frees everyone. She kind of awkwardly gets Yelena's jacket, like, you know it's coming the whole way through the movie. Yelena just goes, "I guess you should have this then." Like,
yeah. Does she have that like in Infinity War or something? Is that like something?
Yeah. That's the jacket she's wearing in Infinity War.
I didn't even click. Like as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, I guess must be the jacket she wears in Infinity War. Like it's not. It felt like it was meant to be a really kind of like, oh, that's how it happens or whatever scene, but it kind of. I was like, oh, okay, jacket, cool.
Nah,
I'd forgotten about it, honestly.
Yeah, because we never wondered where a jacket came from before, so
it's not it's not a standout jacket. Yeah, it's not like a standout jacket at all. It's more like if it was a standout jacket, like if it was had some like a patch on it or something, or it was some kind of some significance, and like when we watched Infinity War, we were like, oh, that must be, like it said something on it that we saw in Infinity War, and we were like, oh, that's a reference to something in the comics, and then in this film they put it into the, maybe, but it's just a jacket. That's one we assumed she got. I don't know, because they were on the run. It's not. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's weird. It's right. Okay. Like, yeah, it felt like it was meant to be a big moment, and it was weird.
Yeah, and then the end of the movie, we get our end credits scene. Yelena visits Natasha's grave, which I assume is empty. I don't think anyone's going to bore me to bring that back. And Valentina, Madame Hydra, who we first got introduced to in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it was supposed to be here, is like, do you want to go kill Hawkeye in the Hawkeye show streaming on Disney Plus? And she presumably says yes. So that's when we'll probably when we see her next. I did want to say, I know we were supposed to see her here first, and then it'd be a big deal when she shows up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think the way round we saw it was better.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. I feel like if she was in this after credits scene and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it would have been like... I don't know. I think the fact that... I think it's more impactful because we would have assumed she's like a good guy if we'd seen her in this kind of thing. I mean, they don't really say either of them that she's a bad guy, but you kind of get the feeling that she's a bad guy when Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Obviously, she's
like US agent he's not the bad guy, but he, you get the feeling he's gonna be a bad guy, or he's gonna at least be an anti-hero at some point. Whereas if we'd seen her in this first,
he chops that dude's head off.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, like, she's looking to hire him literally, like, after he's done that. So you would naturally assume that she's like, oh, so she's a bit dodgy, maybe. Whereas you see her in this, like, this is Thingy's sister, who's been the good guy for this whole movie. You would assume that she's a good guy, and then all of a sudden, she's going recruiting people who decapitate people in public. And it's like, okay, that's weird. And I think... I don't know. I think this is a more interesting way around because
she's obviously like playing fast and loose with the truth. Like, go after Hawkeye because he killed your sister. Like, we know that. They had a fight to see who could kill themselves fastest. But it's weird because she shows up as part of a joke in this. Like, she blows her nose comically loud and then you only hear say that you either only get a Val or a Valentina, whereas in Falcon and the Winter Soldier there's like a build up. You see her walking in, you shift focus to bring her closer. The audience like, oh, get a proper look at her, and then she says her full name and then gives the card. It's like, this is exactly who I am. Go and check the wiki.
Yeah, literally, yeah. It feels more like that should have been her intro rather than this throwaway. It felt almost like what they were trying to do is what they did with Nick Fury in Iron Man 2. But then even then, they didn't give him... No, it was Iron Man 1, wasn't it? It was the end of Iron Man 1. And then in Iron Man 2, it was like... It wasn't even then, it was like, I'm Nick Fury. It was just then, he was kind of in it. But it was like, oh yeah, remember me, I'm the one from the end of Iron Man 1. But after with this, I don't know, unless the thing I think is quite interesting with this is because we know that she's kind of a bit of a dodgy character from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Watching this now, this way round, it creates this more of an interesting concept of like, we thought Florence Pugh's character was going to be the next Black Widow, thought she was going to be a good guy, and now all of a sudden she's working for someone who could possibly be a bad guy. And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting development. Whereas if we had no idea who Val was, this first time we're seeing her, we just assume that she's just the new. Maybe she's the new Nick Fury or something. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, obviously, if you knew who she was from the comics, you knew that's not the case. But most people who don't know who she is are going to be like, oh, maybe she's the new Nick Fury. Maybe she's a good guy. She's going to form the new Avengers. Da da da. But I think it's interesting. This is the more interesting. So then now if she turns up in the Hawkeye TV show, and because I mean, I feel like the way they're going to do it is she's going to show up in the Hawkeye TV show. She's going to be the bad guy for a bit because she's going to try and kill him, and then it's going to be resolved. And then her and maybe
gonna be mates.
What's her name? Yeah, they're gonna become mates. Like Thingy was, like he's gonna be like, oh no, I was mates with your sister. I didn't kill her. You know, I wanted to sacrifice myself. And then maybe I don't know, Florence Pugh and Thingy. Oh, what's her name? Is it Haley Steinfeld who's playing Thingy in
Haley Steinfeld.
Hawkeye. Yeah. Like maybe them two become mates as well. Maybe that's like the new Hawkeye and the new Black Widow. You know. That's obviously how that's gonna go. Like, you know, it's not like they're not just gonna make Florence Pugh a bad guy. You know, as interesting as that may be, it would only be interesting for a little bit. I think you need someone. I think for that to be interesting for a long time, you need someone who's been a good guy for a long time and then it becomes a bad guy. Or I say the other way around. That's kind of what Loki's the other way around, really, isn't it? Where he's a bad guy and he's a good guy. No, but yeah, I think this was a better way to do it. I'm glad that they did it this way around, rather than her just. It's a weird way to introduce her if she's going to become a big thing in the movies going forward as well. Seeing her in this first, so you know, there you go, Disney. One good thing I guess about it being delayed for a year is we got the better way around.
It was worth it all along.
Exactly.
I definitely think that like it's a good point you bring up, the whole, because that is almost definitely how she's going to be introduced into Hawkeye, and as a temporary villain, and then they'll resolve their issues and go, maybe Valentina's maybe don't trust her, and that'll, you know, whatever, set off some chain events. The thing is, right, I'm going to propose something here. I really hope that doesn't happen, because one other thing that kind of irritated me in the middle of this movie was I am fucking so done with the trope of two superheroes meet each other and they immediately have to have a fight for a little bit for no reason, because that's how Florence Pugh is introduced. Well, not there's a scene first where she gets her mind control erased, but then when Natasha bumps into her, they have a really, really prolonged fight scene until they're choking each other out, and they go, "Shall we stop?" Yeah, let's stop. Like, oh my god, it went on for so long. And it's not that the fight choreography wasn't, like, cool. Like, it was a well put together fight, but I knew where it was going as soon as it happened. You're going to punch each other for a bit, and then you're going to stop for no reason, and you're just going to be mates. And that's what happened. And I propose that is banned from now on. Yeah. I'm so done with it.
I agree, yeah, no way. No, I don't like it. I mean, I thought when they started fighting, I thought, okay, these two have clearly interacted with each other since they were little girls, and maybe stuff's gone on between them, them not mates anymore. And then as soon as they started talking, and it made clear that they hadn't interacted since they were split up as little girls, and that they just started fighting because they just have trust issues. I was like, what the fuck? Right? Why were they fighting? Could they not have just spoke? You know what I mean? Like, it just felt they were fighting for the sake of fighting. And I get the same thing. Like, it's just something that they do. It's like, no, stop. It's like, oh, we need to fight here. It's like, no, just, you know, human interaction. They could have had a little bit of a standoff with guns like they did, and then it could have just ended and it would have been fine. Because it is immediately followed by them being attacked anyway. So it's not like we would have had to wait long for an action scene.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just have a bit of, like, human interaction. Would have been fine. But yeah, so I agree. No introductory fighting. Just don't do it. Be more creative. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's fair enough. I think Black Widow. It's a cool movie. It's like, is it worth the wait? Like, it's not bad, but, like, also it should have come out sooner. Definitely, it would have improved if it had come out sooner. And
I know
it's
a few people who are waiting for it to be on Disney Plus rather than going to watch it.
really,
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Like, it's one of those ones where if you don't watch it straight away, like I feel like maybe I don't know. The way I kind of said it when we came out watching it was, if you're watching all the Marvel films and you're not that bothered about skipping some out, this is one that you could maybe skip out. You don't necessarily. It's like I don't know. It's like it's good. It's but it's not essential, I think. So I think that's why people aren't like. There's the only thing really that we learn in this film, that this film gives us, adds to the story, is the stuff in the after credit scene and introduces to Florence Pugh's character. So I feel like this is it's good to watch. Like, if you're gonna be watching the Marvel, all of them, then yeah, you'll have a good time watching it. But if you only watching like the main event films, then it's one you could probably skip out, I think.
yeah. Yeah, it's not a drag at all, but it definitely feels like it's weird because it's like everything is like solid, but in a kind of uninteresting way. You know what I mean? Like it's all well shot, but nothing's mind blowing. It's well written, but like I said, some of the places where it is well written lets down other places later. Taskmaster was unfortunately wasted. But even then, like the negative points are like they're not negative in a way where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe they fucked this up. It's just like, that was a shame. Like it's very average. It actually feels kind of phase 2.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. Yeah. Like just a gut reaction, it feels like a bit of a phase 2 movie, and I'd agree. It feels like on the whole, the direction Marvel's currently taking means that this movie, where it sits, unfortunately, it does feel less essential than it would have done otherwise. So that's a shame. But it was okay.
Yeah, it's good.
It's okay.
Right. Filled the void a bit. I mean, I know we've had a lot of Marvel anyway, so it's not like there was a void of Marvel. It would have filled the void if it come out when it was meant to last year, because obviously last year there would have not been anything. That's the only Marvel film that would have come out in 2020. Whereas now, because we've got all the TV shows on, it's just something extra, I guess. That's what it feels like. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I feel like they brought this. The original plan was to just, they knew that they would have Spider-Man after Endgame, and then after that, it was going to be at least 2 years until we started to get stuff again. So I thought they were like, I get the feeling they were like, okay, we'll release Black Widow in the middle so people to kind of have something in the middle, and then obviously that didn't happen. So now it's come out later on. Yeah, it's fair enough. Like, just it's alright. It's right. It's one that if you're a fan of the Marvel film, you should probably watch, but you don't need to watch it like on repeat. But yeah. Well, I mean, you wouldn't watch it on repeat anyway.
It's
not one you have to watch.
It's not one that I'd be rushing back. Like, Like, there's a handful of Marvel films that I'm pretty happy to watch anytime. Like Thor Ragnarok is one of those movies. I know everyone talks about how good that movie is, but it's a very fun, easy watch. And it's not that this isn't like an easy watch as well, but yeah, it's just a little bit I don't know, there's something about it. I guess it's the do you know what, weirdly I think it's the fact that Marvel as a whole, since maybe Guardians 2, maybe Thor Ragnarok, has been leaning into comedy so much more. And this is not an unfunny film, but it is an action film with comedy elements. Whereas Thor Ragnarok, definitely the Spider-Man movies are comedy movies with action scenes in them. Yeah. So it's definitely a different vibe. I guess if it's there for your action flick, if that's your jam, this will probably be right up your street. All right, well, I think that pretty much covers it. That pretty much covers our little look into Black Widow. This was fun. Thank you very much for joining us, Joe. This was rad. If you've enjoyed the episode and you want more Outtakes content, then feel free. I don't know why I said enjoyed weird. It's only just dawning on me now, the fucking weird voice and motion I did. If you've enjoyed the episode and you want more Outtakes content, feel free to follow us on social media at The Real Outtakes on Twitter and Instagram. And make sure to hit that sub button or follow button if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app. And if you've been watching us on YouTube, you consider hitting like, you can share it with all your friends, and hitting that sub button for more content from us. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
In a bit.
Bye.